The warrior mindset. Now, in order to talk about the mindset, we've got to go into the understanding of the brain and the mind are two different things.
Here's a quote from Marcus Aurelius. He says, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." So the warrior mindset is not so much about following what leaders do. You know, I get asked all the time, what does a leader do? A great leader, what do they do? And more so than what they do, I want to follow and study, how does a great leader think? How does the greatest leaders in the world who have ever lived, how do they think? More so than what they do. See, following the patterns of what somebody does could be very powerful. But I'd rather find out what motivated what they did. The warrior says, I don't know how I'm going to win. I just know that I'm not going to lose. You see, there's a difference between having the attitude of a warrior, the way that they think and approach situations, than having somebody says, this is overwhelming. We're stuck. No, you are not. It's all determines on how we think. Mental toughness, resilience, to know your own thoughts, control those thoughts, choose to win, demonstrate courage, inspire others. How many times have we wanted to motivate those people that work for us? We want to motivate them. Folks, that's exhausting. Is it not exhausting? You see, there's external stimulus that keeps these people motivated. It's exhausting. Motivation is good. I want to motivate, but I would much rather inspire. See, motivation is external stimuli. We're working on programs, incentive-based programs. They get incentives if they rise to the surface. You know, that's good, and I don't mind that. But inspire, by its very definition, is the opposite of motivation. Inspire is internal fire. When you wake up in the morning, you are inspired, even though there's no guarantees of anything. The elephant is the largest land animal. He could get as high as 13,000 pounds, grow to 10 feet tall, and he could run up to 25 miles an hour. As mighty as the lion is, the elephant is the strongest of all land animals in the world. And yet, there's something called the elephant rope. One day, there was a traveler that was in Africa, and he went to a village, and he noticed that there was several extremely large elephants that were being held captive by a very small rope tied to their leg, and the other end was tied to a very small stake that was in the ground. You and I could pull the stake right out of the ground. My children, they were younger, could pull the stake right out of the ground, but the elephant was not moving. Why? So the traveler asked the trainer, who he knew was present, said, "Excuse me, I'm very confused about something. How are you able to take this mighty beast and keep it captive and almost paralyzed?" And the gentleman smiled and says, "Well, it's very easy, actually. When they're baby elephants, we take a rope, tie it to their leg, and we tie it to the strongest tree that we could find. And so when this elephant fought and pulled, it could never get itself free. Ever. So then as it began to grow and to age, it stopped trying. And now, over time, this amazing beast, all it has to do is see this rope, and it immediately just stops. What happened? It's the way the elephant thinks. Reality is the elephant could snap the rope or pull the small stake right out of the ground, but he doesn't. Why? He is convinced of a lie, that it is trapped. Folks, what I'm saying is this. There are certain things in our life, and it's important we talk about this right up front. There are certain things in our life right now that's holding us down. I just gave this presentation last week in Chattanooga, and the phrase, "my elephant rope," was something that everybody in the group began to use as a common phrase. And they're like, I never thought about this, but you know, my elephant rope was, and this one gentleman said, when I was growing up, I lived in poverty. And my parents were abusive. So I had abuse and the stress of being impoverished, where we literally did not know if we were going to eat that day. He runs a $50 million company, and he says, to this day, I'm afraid of poverty. It's an elephant rope that's tied to his foot, emotionally, psychologically. So I'm asking you right now, do you have an elephant rope in your life? We eventually pick up that baton and we begin to run with it. It is time to break your elephant rope. You can do it. You have to think differently. We're going to talk about neural pathways, how you could rewrite the source code in your brain by rewriting your neural pathways. Your thoughts are powerful. They could hold you down or they could bring you to greatness if you let them, if we think differently.
Don't avoid stress. We just got done talking about exercise. Every morning, I sign up for stress on the body. In other words, when you're working out, both weight-resistant exercise and cardio, that's stress. And when you put stress on the body, what happens? The body gets stronger. You become more resilient. You become more athletic. Your heart becomes stronger. Everything about you gets better. So what I'm saying is, anybody who avoids stress, both physically and emotionally, very well could be harming themselves greater than they ever thought possible. The warrior will wake up in the morning and say, I don't know how I'm going to win. I just know I'm not going to lose. Failure is not an option, but failure does not define me. First of all, we have the first year, of course, but then all of a sudden the rainy season. Look at how thick the rainy season allowed the tree to grow. It was rainy, which means it was windy, and when it's windy and it's buffeting the tree, the roots go down deeper. The tree gets stronger. The stress that is on the tree caused the tree to be a better version of itself. Adversity is your friend. Don't avoid it. Don't run from it. Stand against it. How to handle stress like a warrior? Change the situation or change your response to the situation. This puts you back in the driver's seat. Be still and quietly consider your options. You've heard that phrase, well, we've got to do something, right? When I hear politicians say that, well, we've got to do something, I'm like, no, you don't. Don't do something. You don't even know what the problem is yet. In other words, we need to be still and quietly consider, okay, what's really happening? What's actually taking place? Where's the stress coming from? Evaluate, then identify exactly what's causing the stress. The U.S. Marine says intelligence is lethal. When you really know what's going on and you've evaluated everything, now you're ready. Tackle the big stuff first. In other words, you've heard Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey says when it comes to debt, you handle the small stuff first, and he's right. When it comes to debt, when it comes to your finances, he could not be more right than he is. In other words, you take the smallest debt, you attack it, then after you defeat that debt, you take all the money that you were putting into that debt and you roll it into the next biggest debt, and you work your way up to your house. And you eliminate that debt. That's correct. But when it comes to stress, problems, life issues, personal relationships, things you need to tackle at work, at home, etc., tackle the big stuff first. Those items that are causing the stress in your life, tackle those first. Take time to deliberate. But when the time has arrived, stop thinking and go in. You have all the information you're going to have. You have a plan. Now execute the plan. Do it well, do it right, and do it fast. Number 5 is always find rest and recovery. The best bridge between despair and hope is a good night's sleep.